Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of Clinically Pressed. This is a new one. This features Eamon Coyne. He's a huge in CrossFit, has done some really incredible things. This episode was a ton of fun. It was part of our Madison trip. Great intro. We look forward to hearing your response on that. This is also with Paragon Fitness. We thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with them. Both the Pauls were great hosts when we were down there. Be sure to check them out at www.paragonfn.com. They're doing some amazing things, not only with their supplementation, but also with their message and things they're trying to do to help. If you go and you check them out, please use code CP15 at checkout for 15% off, and it helps us out, which we truly appreciate. We've got some stuff coming with them. With reviews and ratings, so if you'd please go on to iTunes and do that for us, we would definitely appreciate it. I know everybody asked for that, but we truly would. I think we're at like 7. We could use a bunch more. So with all of that, please enjoy this episode, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Secret, like drop and pull?
Yep, initiate with your hips. Yeah.
Is that good?
Break it. That's good. That says high score.
Alright, back out into the breeze for a little while.
All right, go ahead, Kyle.
All right. Welcome to the next episode of Clinically Pressed. We're still
Like Paul's garage.
Paul's garage.
Just sitting.
got a few more
now.
people. Seated.
Seated.
Our ass is planted. We're with Eamon Coyne. Thanks for being here, Eamon.
Thanks for having me.
We have a little bit of a brief background on you. It's not up to date, so you mind go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I've been, as far as CrossFit is concerned, I've been doing CrossFit for about 13 years now. I started way back in 2004. When I was in the military, I kind of rolled through my whole military time. Served me well while being deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Just keep me combat ready, kind of condition ready. And then when I separated from the Navy, met my wife, went back to school, finished my degree in business, opened the gym during my MBA with Tim Paulson, and we've kind of been growing that ever since.
Where's that at? Just
in
for background?
Ithaca, New York.
Okay.
Yeah, CrossFit Pallas in Ithaca, New York.
Okay.
My wife took a job in Boston, so then we moved to Boston. I still own the gym with Tim, and I still am very much involved with that. But I'm also working in other gyms and doing some consulting work for certain gyms.
Oh, nice.
So
Staying busy.
Yeah, always staying busy.
That's good.
Yeah.
So how?
I want to know how did you get hooked up with
yeah.
these two? Since we have the Pauls as our special guest host for this.
You want to tell
how did you guys all
story.
get hooked up together?
So through another connection I had met up with a guy named Anthony who was on the CrossFit Gymnastics seminar staff with Jeff Tucker, and he was doing, I'd say, a pretty heavy volume programming for athletes.
We were all into it then.
Yeah, this was at the time where I was competing a lot and really pushing the envelope. And Eamon was in that group as well, and he had done a lot of kind of like virtual coaching and different comments here and there and whatever. And we kind of connected through that. And then at the Granite Games in St. Cloud, that group from Paradigm always comes over, and Eamon was there as well, and So we see each other there a lot and just kind of continue the relationship. And I bounce probably hundreds of ideas off of him all the time, from business to training to like my marriage and life in general. So what I would say, although we don't get to see each other a lot, I talk to him more than I talk to most people around here. So that's kind of where it all started. And then we had introduced the idea that we were going to be launching a company, and he jumped on as one of the testers in the original phases. So before we were even launched, or like a real company, I guess, Eamon was one of the individuals that gave very honest, very blunt feedback to us. We made some minor adjustments based on him and a few others, and then when we went to market, we brought him on and his gym right away. That was a pretty high priority for us. So that's kind of where it all started, and that's where it got us to today. So
Awesome.
Social media,
Yeah.
cell phones.
Yep.
Pretty much all of us.
All of our
It's crazy.
communication.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kids.
It's wild. It's wild. Yeah. But I'd say that's one of the cool, not to get off
Paul,
track.
Jens' favorite thing, social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's super cool. I mean, like,
Social media expert.
yeah. It's so crazy because it's its own world now. Like, it's its own language, its own community.
I learned how to Instagram story today.
Yeah, I still don't do that either. But I mean, like,
Thanks,
just the
Andy.
connection.
Figuring it out. Yeah, thanks,
I
Andy.
can't even. We were talking about this earlier. I can't even like watch people. Some people, just have to like hit past their stories because it's like
They got 47
50 things.
Yeah,
and
how
you're
are you?
like, I know, but then it still stays there.
Yeah.
It still stays at the top.
You have to
It
see
goes away in
all.
like 2 days,
Yeah.
but they've already got another like 48 stories.
That's
So
the
it's
point where I stopped following.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why you unfollowed me?
I've never been.
Oh, that's even worse.
I mean,
Pretty much,
my
Andy,
personal
if you
account-
follow Andy on social media, you pretty much know it's cats, guitars,
Heavy lifting.
heavy
Squatting.
lifting,
Yeah.
and his giant Dodge Ram.
Not a giant, but it's a giant.
It's an Andy-sized
That
Dodge
sounds like my
Ram.
kind of.
So it's very small.
Kind of a cow.
So
It's
Paul,
cat
what can
size.
you tell us about search engine optimization?
Yeah. I hear that it's really important.
This is one of the jack off things you're not good at.
Understand for what we did with our website is like put in a bunch of search. It's like, here's where you put in your search engine optimization.
Do you do that for your
And
gym?
I said,
I'll get into that.
We'll put in
That's
all
actually
of-
part of my book.
Let's put in all of the terms
Did I miss that? You have a
that
book?
people might search for. And
No, I haven't
maybe
read it.
that's
I
how
haven't
it
read it.
works. I don't know.
Yet.
Yeah.
So,
But I'm writing
Let's
one.
go there.
But I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Let's go.
back to topic.
Back to the book.
Yeah.
So one of the questions you guys had asked me was like a suggestion on a book.
Yeah, the book recommendations. My book?
Yeah, we'll
That is a great recommendation.
There's 2 books that I recommend. I actually buy them for a lot of people.
Ooh, we haven't gone to the gifted question. That'd be really stealing it from Ferris, but go ahead.
It's a Tim Ferriss book.
Yes, it.
4 Hour Work Week. That's the first
Oh,
recommendation
yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
Great
So
book.
talking about like SEO and stuff like that, and you're like, I don't really know a lot about that, and blah 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 blah. Instead of trying to figure that out, just outsource it.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
because you can find like you go into something like Upwork, which is a website. That's actually who built our website for CrossFit Pallas. I went to Upwork and I was like, I have $400 to spend on a website. My website currently right now looks like crap. I need it redone, right? I could do it. It's going to waste a ton of time. I'll figure it out.
And
It's
not be
probably
great.
not going to look great.
Yeah.
It's not going to hit everything. Why don't I just hire somebody? You don't like, Tim Ferriss is a little bit of an extreme example, right? He has made
That dude's figured it out.
he's figured it out,
Yeah.
right? And I think if you go through that process, it's like, in
But he
theory, it
also
makes
wrote
sense.
4-Hour Work Week before he really had it figured out.
You need a break, right? You need a break. And overnight success, everybody talks about overnight success. Tim Paulson, he's the co-owner of my gym. Everybody's like, oh, Tim Paulson's overnight success. I have watched that kid bust his ass for the past 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now that he's...
so many years and finally made it. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he
he's been to
grinds.
regionals 5 years in a
Yeah,
row.
he
He's had
grinds.
ups, he's had downs, he's had great years, he's had bad years. There is no such thing as an overnight success.
We
Nobody
talked
can
about
do
it with this one, like the Fitcast. I don't know if you ever heard of him. It's Kevin Larrabee. He worked out of Mike Boyle strength and conditioning.
Sure.
It's like,
in Boston, right? Mike Boyle's
he's like, it took me 3 years of putting out free content before this actually took off to something that now he left Mike Boyle and he's kind of doing his own thing, but it's like 3 years of just free content. And then I was a success.
Look at when Kelly Starrett started. He started putting out what was it called when he started the Mobility Project?
Yep.
Yeah.
He put out a
year's worth of something every day.
Day,
365.
And
that stuff's still free content.
Yep. And it was free.
And it's got
for how many years?
hundreds
how
of
many
thousands
years
of
did you
views.
do that?
Right.
Before you moved to the paid subscription. And when I did it, I was like, it's not going to be free anymore. I was like, this guy deserves it. At this point. You know, I mean,
So here's a caveat to that though. Specifically speaking about like something like the Mobility Project. That guy that cheated on the Open. Looped his video. There's a lot of theory behind that he did that just so he could bump his YouTube users because there's money associated with that, right?
Yeah.
So that is kind of, but it's
funny,
cheating, right? That's cheating the overnight success thing.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
Kicker from UCF.
Right.
That quit football, college kicker. Quit playing college football because he has a successful YouTube channel. And they told him that he couldn't use his name to make his own money. So he quit playing football so he could continue his YouTube videos.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
But
and it was all based on he was huge, he was popular, had so many views.
Sustainable?
Who knows, but did he have a pro career in kicking?
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean for him, maybe
I know
that's
what the
a
minimum
decision
salary
he
is
made.
in the NFL.
Right, but was that an overnight thing or was that like they eventually got to a point where they're like, okay, you can't keep doing this. Like something like YouTube, it's not like one day you don't have like 2 subscribers to your YouTube channel and the next day you're getting the golden play button, right? Yeah. It's still there's still
we've learned that in this whole entire process.
There's still like
coming up on 100 subscribers hopefully after this weekend.
It's the century mark, it's the big mark. Right?
Well, trust me, we're gonna blow it up when we hit it.
Only 100 more of these. We'll be all set.
1,000 true fans. We got a few to go.
The second book is Jocko Willemick's book.
Love
Extreme
it.
Ownership.
Such a good book.
Yep.
Anytime I feel like I'm complaining, I just look back at it and it's like, it's on me. I got to present it better. But I love that book.
Funny story. Yesterday, my wife and I stopped at Starbucks to grab coffee. And we live in Massachusetts now, and living in Massachusetts, having grown up in Philadelphia, Massachusetts probably has some of the worst drivers that I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Like, really bad. Like, we joked when I was a kid, like, New Jersey drivers are awful. Massachusetts is, right.
I was going to mention that.
Massachusetts, but I think every state does that, right?
Yeah.
But Massachusetts, it's like...
Iowa's pretty bad.
Rules of the road don't exist, right? Somebody has a stop sign and you have a right of way. Somebody's like, my turn, and they'll just pull out in front of you, right? Dogs are sleeping with cats. It's bedlam, right? So yesterday we stopped at Starbucks. This is going to circle back around to extreme ownership. But we stopped at Starbucks and some girl, my wife's in the back of the car with a baby, some girl just like pulls up right next to us. There's plenty of parking all around. Pulls up right next to us. She just pops the door open, hits our door, and then she's like, there's something there. And then she closes her door and pops it open again and hits it again. And I was like, and I wasn't there. My wife told me about this. And then so my wife I come back out from grabbing coffee, and I saw the 2 people walk in, and my wife's like, that girl inside just kind of like nailed our car twice. And I looked and there's a scratch on the door. And like, not a big deal, right? I'm not gonna like freak out about it. So I went over to her and I was like, hey, we need to exchange insurance information. Pretty simple, like, you hit my car. I'm not gonna come after you, but I wanna make sure that I'm protected in this situation. She like got into a big stink and like called the cops over and everything like that. And the cop like, he does his forensic analysis and he like opens her door barely and he's like, yep, it lines up, you're at fault. And
that backfired.
Right. So I literally wasn't going after her for any other reason, and than to have her take a little bit of ownership of what she had done.
Right.
Right? To me, that's a huge deal. Like, if you do something wrong, take ownership of that. Even if it's your own team, if you do something right, give that away. That doesn't belong to you. That belongs to your team. Right? So that's kind of my takeaway from that book.
I dented somebody's door on accident, left them a note. Never got a call to fix it.
Well,
Left it underneath their windshield wiper. Felt
did it.
terrible about it.
yeah.
So that was just the thing. Like, I
How many
slipped on
people do
ice
that?
and my door flew open.
Yeah.
Boom, and I was like, shit.
Oh, man.
Left it because I felt terrible. And everyone's like, it happens, don't worry about it. I was like, I gotta go leave them a note. And
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it, but I never got a phone call.
We should did right there.
Shout out to St. Louis Park, and I don't remember the name of the apartment complex.
If you see this,
your word, whatever, I dented the
I'm the
crap
one
out
that
of your
left you the
passenger door.
Something like that actually happened to me. I was riding back from my hometown on my motorcycle. It was kind of stop and go traffic. I was paying attention, but the car in front of the truck I was behind slammed on its brakes. So the truck had to slam on its brakes. And I don't know if any of you ride or have ever ridden, but I had to jam on the brakes, felt the back tire lock up, and when you lose that, you're like, oh,
Here we go.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, I can let go of the brakes and try to duck left real quick. And I let go of the brakes, tried to duck left, and the rear tire didn't catch. And I just kind of spun. I got far enough left that I didn't hit straight on, but I ran into the rear quarter panel hard. And I'm a big guy. I'm on a motorcycle going 20 miles an hour. I hit probably a 2016 Ram. Like, it was probably a $60,000 truck. And I'm like, shit, like, I'm going to have to pay for this. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm insured, but I don't want to deal with this right now. My insurance rates are going to go up, My guy gets out and he's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, I'm so sorry, dude. I just couldn't stop. And I'm like, I have insurance. I'm like, I can get you my information. I have my card on my phone. Let me write it down for you. He's like, well, does the bike still run? I don't know. I'll get you my insurance info. And then he's like, well, let's check if the bike still runs. And we went. He helped me pick it up and turned it on. It ran. He's like, well, if you're okay, I'm okay.
See you later.
And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man, like, it's not that big a deal. And I'm looking at the truck. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, it's a nice truck. You're going to have to replace that.
The any-sized, like hole in it.
The craziest thing was, and yeah, derails the episode a little bit, but the craziest thing was,
I think we're already past
I
that.
gave him my business card. I'm like, dude, well, if you're, I don't know if you're scared of my size or you just got somewhere to be and you don't have the time, whatever, like, if you change your mind, give me a call and we'll work this out. I'm like, I have no problem taking full for that. And he actually emailed me 3 weeks later just to check if I was okay.
Yep.
oh, that's cool.
But that can also, like, getting back to the business side of things, kind of circling things back around. Something like that.
Yes, let's.
Something like that can also lead to a business connection, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
your integrity that you have with people, especially in this business, in the business of running a CrossFit affiliate, integrity speaks volumes, right? When I first opened my gym with Tim, we made a lot of mistakes, right? Like, dumb things, but like, you know, I didn't wait. Bloody murder is going to be.
I know. Part of that.
You know, I was taking my MBA. I was coaching all the classes. Tim didn't have his level 1 yet. You know, I didn't wake up for class at 6 a.m., right? Guys, I'm really sorry I didn't wake up for class. You know what? We're a new business, but I messed up. I'm going to give you guys X number off on your next month just for this one incident, right? It will not happen again. You know, I think building that relationship initially when we first opened helped us to build a reputation in the town of Ithaca, right? Ithaca's not big. 30,000 people and students aren't there. 60,000 people and students are there. It's a tiny town, right? If we think about like market share, Tim and I are operating at about running it's about 200 members, 220 members, somewhere in that range. Which for the market share, if we're talking about, and Ithaca is a pretty fit town, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the market share, it's actually pretty low, right? I would like to see that number shift a little bit, but we base a lot of things off of Dunbar's number, which is the amount of meaningful relationships you can have with people. Because once again, this business is about relationships. With Dunbar's number, it says like 120 to 150 per person. I have 12 coaches on staff. Tim and I, so that could potentially exponentiate our number, but in order for me to stay in contact with my gym, I need to keep that number to a minimum between the owners, between Tim and I. So like 300 would be an ideal number for us. We're not quite there yet. But
We're working.
Yeah, we're working on it. But I think those relationships that we built early helped us establish our reputation in the town, and it helped like start bringing people in and things like that. So
I've heard some things about like, do you focus on the people that you don't have, or do you focus on the ones that you do have that are going to be repeat because you have them, and then you take care of them, and then it just goes from there. And
I think once you become
so you don't want to ignore the ones that are already dedicated to you.
Yeah.
For the sake of hoping that you're going to pull another few more in.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
From a financial standpoint, those people are already paying you,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're already providing you with your living, however wherever that may be, right? Tim and I did not focus on making money when we first started. We don't even focus on making money now. That's not the business we're in. We're in the business of making people healthy and fit and increasing their experiences and making sure they're having a good time and building relationships, and like that's what we're really in this for. The money is a byproduct. And we are by no means raking in the dough.
But everybody that opens an affiliate is rich.
I feel like I've heard this on an episode of Barbell Business or two.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
I think somebody has slipped you something.
Yeah.
Because that is not the case.
And it wasn't the night games or...
But you know what? I've worked for...
Maybe it was the weird dreams.
Could have been. Could have been.
I worked for Ben Bergeron, right? I worked for Ben Bergeron for almost a year. I was his director of operations. I learned a lot from Ben. I learned an incredible amount about, not business, because I think I know how to do that, but I learned how he did things. And whenever you're working with somebody who's a super high performer like that, you will take things that you're like, that's a good piece of information. And then you'll look at things and you say, that's not going to work for me. So I'm not going to take that piece of information and apply it right now, right?
Right.
But I'm going to put that in the bank and I might need that later.
Yeah, the toolbox of never knowing. Yeah.
Totally. Ben's got, he doesn't like when I talk about the numbers. He has a lot of members.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of members. Ben knows almost all of them. Like, he knows them by name. He knows, so he's been able to expand that Dunbar's number for himself. But he's also savant with that stuff. So he's very good at the relationship building side of things. So I took a lot away from working for him, and I then applied it to my business, which has actually helped us grow a lot.
Nice.
And when I left that job, the reason why I left that job is because I was looking for something a little more sustainable, I guess, in the long run. At 36, working as a coach isn't exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I wanted to start branching out and start trying to build new things, which I am working on a new project right now. And it's kind of, we're almost there.
Okay.
Close.
Yeah, we're close. So,
Exciting.
yeah.
I look forward to that announcement based on
absolutely.
the hush hush.
It's with a pretty big group. It's with Dave Durante and Chad Vaughn's involved. We have a Shane Garrity, so it's the group from Power Monkey Camp,
Okay.
and 2 Olympians. So it's going to be big. They're not going to mess around.
Oh, you can't talk about like any of that, can you?
I can. It's a competition series. It's called the World.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you referenced it. Yep.
Yep. So that's kind of the direction that we're headed in right now. So we're in the process of building that out. We have our first competition coming up in September in Belton, Texas. It's a novel approach to competing. It's based off of team roping, so rodeo roping, whereas there's a series of tests or exercises, and everybody kind of gets a number, right? So Paul's a badass. He's been to the games, he's hit all these numbers. He's a 10, right? I just had a baby. I've got, an issue with my labrum. I'm a 6, right? So I would not compete with Paul. I would compete with, as a 6, I could actually team up with 2 other people, I could team up with one other person to make a 14. So we add our numbers together. Mm-hmm. It's like a 6 and an 8. They make a 14. The 6 might be really good at gymnastics skills, but doesn't exactly have the strength skills. And the 8 might be a little bit more advanced in the gymnastics, but isn't quite there as much as the 6 is. But their weightlifting numbers are a little bit higher, whatever. And then they compete against other 14s. And provided we get, our magic number is 30 teams per division. It's 150 teams for the entirety of the competition. There's 5 divisions. Provided we hit those 30 teams, the payouts are more than any local competition or any regional competition you'll see. And it's for people that, you can have a team of a 10, which is a team of 3, who are not super experienced in CrossFit, who can still earn $4,000, right? So it's like real money for real competitions. So that's kind of the direction.
It's like the cash chain,
for sure.
Yeah, the way the sport has developed, you see a lot of different brands that have competition series, but it's like, you pay your fee to register your team, and then you might win, or you might take third.
You walk away with that bag of Progenics, and you're like,
or a T-shirt. You got a T-shirt out of it or whatever, and and something like this is going to be pretty big for those, especially for people who aren't quite at the level as what's going on this weekend, but who are still
something going on this weekend.
There's a little bit going on, but it gets more people involved, and when you get excitement and you have to have some sort of game planning with who you partner up with, and then there's a cash payout. Cash is always king. So, the opportunity for growth is pretty big comparatively to what exists on the market right now. Because it's like everything else, you kind of throw your money away at just being able to go to a local competition to say that you did it. Maybe you got a shirt out of it.
And even from the existential side, I'm a coach and I'm trying to build a community and things like that. It gives people something to work for, right? Not only training for these competitions, but also I'm a 4 right now, but I want to be a 6. So it gives them an opportunity. I mean, the payouts as of right now, as it stands, the payouts are the same, right? So if you're in the open division, which is an 8 and above, and that's teams. If you're in the open division as an 8 and above with somebody else, you win that division. It's the same payout as if you're in a team of 3. So it's we're trying to level the playing field as far as
make it worthwhile for everybody to show up, and even if you're not at the highest level, you can still go in and feel like you're still competing, but you're not just walking away.
We're still kind of we're still kind of playing with the model a little bit to see what's going to be best. And this first competition in September is going to be great because it's going to give us a lot of data to play with.
Sure. Awesome. So what's going to figure out what makes them a 6 versus a 5 or 7?
We have a series of 10 tests. It's things like, what's your clean and jerk, what's your snatch, what's your deadlift. Those are the strength events. And then gymnastics pulling, gymnastics pushing, toes to bars on there, double unders, 1K row, 1 mile run, and then there's a Metcon. The Metcon is, as of right now, the Metcon is going to change. We're thinking either quarterly or every 6 months, something like that. But the Metcon right now is 30, 20, 10 wall balls and burpee box shank overs, which is gnarly. Yeah. So we're getting there. It's just, like I said, it's just trying to figure out the data.
Sure.
So, you know, a 6 might have, between those 10 tests, they average out as like a 6.2. It would be a 6.
Sure.
So they could excel in some things, and then they have a snatch that they're still working. They don't have good overhead mobility or whatever, so they're still working on that. So
Pretty sweet.
Really interesting. Something we were just talking about as we drove by the Align Energy Center today is actually drove by the Welcome to the Fittest City on Earth sign down the street. Is like, I come from a powerlifting background where money was not an option until very recently. We had like a 40K prize money, and that was mind blowing for people that you could win $40,000 from powerlifting.
right.
Even weightlifting and bodybuilding, the payouts just aren't there. And we were talking about how crazy it is that CrossFit just came in and gets all this criticism for being stupid and just being this fast sport, where every single other sport that, I guess in any right, but more specifically weightlifting, powerlifting, bodybuilding, kind of the sports that fit within the niche, need to learn from CrossFit. And I'm learning it more and more just talking to the people of CrossFit.
Yeah.
I can never talk to everyone, but meeting some of you guys today, it's insane to see how savvy and how business-minded and how just you look at the big picture as a whole, not just looking at, I want to make my gym good. It's like, how can we make the community better? And it's really cool that you hear that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, we're getting there. I think it's a faster process than bodybuilding or powerlifting, but I think it's still a pretty
Way faster.
yeah. I think it's still a pretty slow process. It's like a distant point on a far horizon kind of thing.
For reference.
It is, but yeah, like, I mean, it really established itself as like, you know, it's a definite force pretty quickly. If you look at the last 10 years of the CrossFit Games compared to other, you know, sports that you talk about, and like, we're not bashing, it's just that the progression, like the linear progression, if you look at not just the cash payouts of winning, you know, which CrossFit has gotten
Pretty good at.
pretty high.
I mean,
but it's all the businesses that can be created off
Exactly.
of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? There are so many things from
Oh, yeah.
food companies to recovery to
Supplements.
you know,
Everybody's
to
looking for
supplements
something.
to
Right,
a bed. You know, like, you know,
The
we have
Casper.
we have a performance league
Yeah,
bed.
performance
And
league,
we've
yeah.
looked into all these other ones, like, which would never have happened unless we were involved in that sport, and that's just in 10 years.
We were
So-
thinking Rogue as a company.
Oh, blew up.
Where did jump in and figure it out?
Yeah, Bill Henniger and Katie Henniger got involved in CrossFit in the early stages, and they were literally like welding stuff in a garage to put together.
Gymnastics rings.
Yeah,
One of my
I still got a pair of them.
One of the guys I worked with
Yeah.
went to Ohio State, and it was in Columbus. He was one of the originals with Rogue, like helping them out.
Yep.
Like when it was just like, hey, come over, we're gonna try to put this stuff
We're gonna
together.
build some stuff.
And then we were there for
Got some shit
we were
to
there for the Ohio State one of the Ohio State games there this year, and we went to the new facility.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It's
it's
incredible. It's incredible.
that is a short amount of time
Oh, for
for
sure.
that level of growth.
We were just hanging out at UW and they were talking about, I mean, all the stuff we're gonna buy is Rogue. Like they're
Yeah.
not buying
That is like the
the
standard. almost.
traditional, which you always would.
And I would say
they're
the
buying
majority
Rogue
of
stuff.
that is thanks to
CrossFit.
the growth of CrossFit.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Rogue,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that, the thing I've noticed huge is at first Rogue was a CrossFit brand. And then they branched out, but it took the community outside of CrossFit so long to catch up that I don't want to use Rogue barbell, it's a CrossFit bar.
Yeah.
And now everyone in powerlifting is like, yeah, I use a Rogue Ohio power bar.
Yeah, Ohio bar is great.
And they
That's
came, out
the
with,
standard.
Is that what I was using today?
That was a Chan bar.
Chan bar?
Yeah.
they came out with the calibrated kilo plates
Yep.
for
Yep.
not to knock any other companies, but for like $3,000 less than Aligo.
Yep.
That one.
Initials start with an E.
It's
Go.
insanity.
I'm not going to say the name, but it rhymes with Kakiko.
And we will no longer have them as a sponsor.
Yeah. All right.
They sponsored Ray Williams.
Rogue.
But yeah, it's insane to see the community as a whole grow, affect other sports in such a positive way, and just
look at the numbers of USA weightlifting.
Oh,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
giant.
It's
It's like the rebirth of weightlifting in the
Totally.
U.S.
totally.
I went and took my USA weightlifting sport and performance cert back in 2012, and Pete and I were like one of 5
Yeah.
CrossFit coaches in the room, and everybody else was either, well, most of the other people were university kids looking to get more, in their own words, looking to get more letters at the end of their name.
Yep.
And, going to the restroom is just like, you believe these CrossFit people are here? What are they doing here? Do they have watts to do or something?
We're saving your sport.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
I still remember when I took it and they showed up, and to me, I looked at it the other way and it was like, look at these guys. And I didn't know much about CrossFit. I wasn't knocking it. I just didn't know anything about it. I was like, they're paying money to come get better at something from the people that in theory know it best.
Yeah.
I applaud that. Like that's
So we don't just use the weekend course and claim to know everything?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of how those continuing ed things go.
Only 5 years.
I'm a genius in DNS now from 2 courses, just so you know.
I have
No idea what I'm doing. I always refer to this guy.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You went overseas. You're well on your way.
So with that, what are some of the differences between the CrossFit certifications? Because you have a plethora.
Plethora. You do.
It's the only big word I know.
I like the word.
I
though.
throw it out
That's a
again.
good
That
word.
came out at
Actually-
9:19 on a Wednesday night.
That's
I formed the question around the word, actually. So I don't care what you're
Plethora. He's got a lot of certification.
he just says it, plethora.
Go.
So you have your like, what do we consider like your base structure of the certification process, which is CrossFit Level 1. Obviously that's like weekend course, no real requirements for that except for taking the test. The Level 2 is kind of like, hey, I've been doing this stuff for a couple of years, it's kind of cool, I'm really into it. And that kind of teaches you a little bit more about the nuances of things like seeing, correcting, programming, program design, coaching. So that's kind of the direction that heads in. Once you get to the level 3 and level 4, level 3 CrossFit level 3 is that is the first certification. So the other 2 are certificate courses. So there's no CEUs that you need to have in order to maintain that certificate, right? You are awarded the certificate. You pass the test.
Yeah.
That's it, right? And actually, you only need a level 1 to open an affiliate.
Yep.
Which is, I think they need to change that.
I'd
I
say
think
you
it's-
see
might
that
be
changing.
yeah, I think it needs to be at least a level 2. But
Makes sense.
if you want to have your name on an affiliate paperwork, I think you need to have level 3. I think you need to have a level 3, or you need to have the appropriate college education in
Level
sports
1 to like
exercise
maybe
physiology.
coach, but
Right.
higher to open.
And I
I can
think
understand that.
I think a degree in physiology is it's equivalent, right? I mean, in order to maintain that,
We talked about it with the CSCS, like,
right?
Yeah.
sure, it's still the gold standard by the NCAA levels, but everything in that book is rarely what you actually see occur in
Right,
the
and
actual center.
And you brought this big world of like physiology and human performance and human movement into this little niche of you need to have this CSCS. Like you are a coach at a university, right? Do they require that you have a CSCS or at least some base level of certification?
Division III hasn't required it yet. It's the norm, but like Division I.
Would you have
has
gotten the
it.
job if you didn't have it?
See, I got roped into it a real backwards way, but I have passed the test. I was just broke and let it lapse, so I have to take it again. But I have passed the test.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like it's like they bring this big broad thing of like physiology, human performance, movement, and then they niche it down to like, but it only works in this small sector, right? I think going back to like certifications, level 4 is just the next step up, right? We call it the Good Old Boys Network. because it's a lot of the people that have been around for 10 or 15 years, and
The OGs.
they've been on seminar staff, and they've made, they've written articles for the CrossFit Journal, and
There's very few.
there are. There's not many.
It's invite only, right?
It is invite only. Yep. Ben Bergeron is one of the only level 4s that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Carswell is another one. Chuck Carswell's been around for a long time. Adrian Bosman. So some of like the bigger names in that side of CrossFit. I think what we've been doing is and then you get into like the specialty certifications like gymnastics, weightlifting, mobility. They actually have a new coaches development course that Austin Malleolo is teaching and Denise Thomas over at Rebirth of CrossFit 1. It costs an arm and a leg. I think it's 5 days and it's like, I think it's $5,000.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, it's a
pretty
lot.
close.
It's a lot of money for certification. But Austin and Denise are incredibly good at what they do.
Very good teachers.
Yeah, and they run an awesome program over there. I actually had Denise, I work for CrossFit Gymnastics. I had Denise in my gymnastics cert. She took her gymnastics cert probably like 3 months ago or so at Reebok 1. So that was kind of fun teaching her taking her through how I would teach things. So hopefully she takes that stuff back to the level 1 staff and like they start looking at how they teach gymnastics in level 1. They have to teach to a large group, so they have to teach a little bit different. But
Sure.
I think what CrossFitters are doing now is branching off and doing things like USAW, branching off and doing things like CSCS. I have 12 coaches that work for me. Out of those 12 coaches, 8 of them have their CSCS. 5 of them have their degrees in sports and exercise physiology, and 2 of them have their masters in sports and exercise physiology.
Nice.
We're lucky because we're in Ithaca, so Ithaca College is very well known for that.
Yeah.
But so we've kind of recruited from the school.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the direction that a lot of these business owners need to go in, is starting to recruit the people that. I'm a business guy. I have my bachelor's. I have a BS in business management, and I have a master's degree in change management and organizational dynamics. It's good for us because we run it as a business, and then we bring in the people that we need to bring in order to make it successful.
I think that what ends up setting you apart is now we got this great business, but then we got the staff with the knowledge
Right.
beyond the typical level 1 that might have just decided to open it to make so much money they can retire.
Right, yeah.
And this is why we're different. This is why you come to us, because we're not just going to give you the basics. We're going to take it to a whole other level because we have it.
But
Well,
we
that's
also
the
know how
big
to
thing.
we also know how to
Yeah.
build it, right? So we know how to
Right.
we know the scalability of it.
Yeah.
So the flip side of that is you get a lot of people who are trainers, no offense, and have gone through sports and exercise physiology programs, and they're like, I'm really good at this fitness thing. I'm really good at teaching it. I'm going to open this gym because there's a low barrier of entry, right? So then they open a gym and they fail. They fail because they don't understand the business side, that there is a business side associated.
Absolutely.
So I think if you start melding those two worlds, you're going to have a lot more successful affiliates.
Agreed.
So.
Yeah. So what are some of the business side of things that it takes to run a successful gym?
And we're here for another 3 hours.
Just boil it down. Come on.
Yeah, so
What would be your 3 tips of running a successful CrossFit business?
3 tips of running a successful CrossFit gym.
See what I did there?
If you don't have a skill set in something, hire somebody that does, right? It kind of gets back to that Tim Ferriss thing, right? If you're not good at something, yeah, you could spend the time. If it's something you're really interested in, spend the time and get to know how to do it. If not, if you're like, I'm only going to do this because it's going to benefit my business, hire out.
Yeah.
Bring somebody else in, have them take care of it, right? That's, in a way, that's kind of what we did, because we brought in coaches that have that specialty, and Tim and I don't have that. That's my first one. The second one is don't focus on the money. When you focus on the money, that's all you think about.
You get desperate.
Yeah.
Trying to come up with anything.
Anything, but it also becomes all consuming, right? So you're not, once that's all consuming, you're not freeing up your time to focus on your membership, to focus on, hey, there's a light out in the bathroom and nobody's going to replace that but me, right? And to take care of those small things. The devil's definitely in the details. So making sure that you're, don't focus on the money, focus on the community and focus on your facility, right? If you have a top-notch facility And top notch doesn't mean you have to have all the best equipment. Top notch means the place is clean. It's a place that people want to come to. It's a place that people want to spend time at after they leave or after they're done with their workout. They come in for their hour, they crush it, they do what they're going to do, and then they want to hang out afterwards.
Yep.
Talk about that.
I mean,
The
that's
third home.
That's
thing.
really one of the reasons that we brought beer into the gym, right? So one of my members is
Still a
a
genius, by the way.
is a major. He's becoming a major player in the Finger Lakes brewing industry. His brewery's called Lucky Hare. He makes. I remember when he first brought his beer to us. He's like, "Here, guys, try this." It was like backyard swill. It was awful. And I was in the beer industry before I joined the Navy, and so I was in the microbrew industry for a while. And now
I need to do more things with my life.
his beer. I also drove a Zamboni when I was younger. That was good. That's my weirdest job. You know, so he exchanged his membership for beer, for a keg of beer, and we always have a keg of beer on, and people stick around after workouts, especially on like the weekends, and like hang out and they'll have a beer and they chat and they get to know each other.
The community.
Yeah, they build a community. The final piece would probably be something having to do with like making sure that even when you're building a business, you're not smashing yourself into the ground every single day trying to build that business. It's incremental change that helps to get you there. If you burn yourself out, it's not gonna. If you burn yourself out, the business is done. Business is gone. Like you're not gonna want to do it anymore, or it's gonna have failed, or it's gonna not be the vision that you had for it. You know, so making sure that you're getting a little bit of that time to like decompress and stuff like that. I think Tim and I, we did a great job in the first year that we were open, first 2 years we were open at our original location, in that I would go away for a couple of days, he would cover everything, and then he would go away for a couple of days, and I would cover everything. And we had like a good bounce back and forth. Not like on a weekly basis. It wasn't like I took off, but like if I wanted to go on vacation with my wife, we would take off for 2 weeks, and Tim would be like, I remember we went to France. We went to France for 2 weeks. Tim was like, "Don't worry about it, man. I got it." And then he went off with his fiance, and I forget where they went, but they went on vacation for 2 weeks. And it was like we created a little bit of balance there. So that balance of not crushing ourselves all the time has helped us to build the brand and build the business.
It's important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
With your gymnastics background and expertise, I mean, I asked Tori this, but what are some of the common mistakes you see? People that come into CrossFit typically don't have much of a gymnastics background, so what common mistakes do you see, and then what do you recommend as to help them out?
First thing to like back it up, I actually, my background's actually ice hockey. I played ice hockey for 25 years. I was never a child gymnast. I picked it up doing CrossFit, and it's just something I picked up really well, and working on the certs has helped me become a better teacher at it, and a better practitioner of it. But it was a long road to learn that stuff. And that's what I would say, is that when, oh, that was a lightning bug. Sad.
Reflex.
Yeah, like a cat. Oh, they smell too. You know that smell?
Been just crushing mosquitoes over here for the last 30 minutes.
I think when people start into gymnastics, it's they try to layer on too much too fast, right? So they're like, I can't do a strict pull-up, but I can do these kipping pull-ups because I just flail around a bunch and throw myself up over the bar. Whereas I think if they, because it's in gymnastics, it's not like weightlifting, right? So weightlifting, if you add a pound, you've PR'd, right? There is a direct linear progression. It is, you know, it's pass or fail, right? In gymnastics, it's fail a whole bunch, and then I've reached the goal of getting my chin over the bar, so I've accomplished that goal of kipping pull-ups, right? But they haven't created the stability in the joint, the shoulder joint specifically, to sustain that, because they haven't worked on the strength part, right? So they haven't worked on the strength and endurance that goes along with that. As far as the biggest error that I see is people trying to scale inappropriately, coaches letting them scale inappropriately, and then they constantly stay stuck there, right? The two examples I have, the dreaded green band for pull-ups, people wrap that around. They get hooked on that, right? They're losing tension when they need it most. They're gaining tension when they need it least. So they have created this crutch of, you know, because I'm in the workout, I'm getting my chin over the bar, and all these other people are doing pull-ups and getting their chin over the bar, so I'm in the workout. I'm part of this. As opposed to dialing it back, making them do ring rows or jumping pull-ups, something that's jumping pull-ups are a metabolic movement. They're not necessarily going to build any strength or stamina. It's a metabolic movement. But ring rows, which is going to help them build strength. It's going to help them introduce things, and then progressively taking their body and changing the point of leverage until they're hanging from a bar and able to pull their chin up and over the bar. That is the appropriate progression for that. The other one is the birthday cake for ab mats, for handstand push-ups. So they got like 4 ab mats down there. I'm 5'7". If I got 4 ab mats down, it's like my head's, I'm doing like an inch here, right? Like, but I'm in the workout as opposed to taking it all the way back down to the ground, working on the pressing strength, right? And that can mean pressing from a push-up position. It can mean pressing from a dip position. Both of those things are going to help develop the tricep, develop the chest into a better position, so that when you do kick up against the wall and you flip upside down, you can start doing handstand push-ups a little bit better. Don't jump on too quick. Layer in the progression. Build the progression. If anybody that is listening to this podcast has any questions about progression, you can either look at CrossFitGymnastics.com, or you can email myself or my friend Tony. His email is tony@CrossFitGymnastics.com. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Perfect. Good explanation.
Yeah.
Was it Spieler? I think I remember hearing him talk about gymnastics progression, specifically the pull-ups. Like, you have to do X amount of strict pull-ups before he'll allow you to kip. And then you have to do like a pretty high number of kipping pull-ups before he'll even teach you the butterfly. And like every gym I've been a part of until recently, it's been inverse. You know,
Yeah, you're gonna throw your hips to the bar and hopefully get your chin over the bar a bunch of times. Throw your shoulder joint.
And then those people disappear.
Yep.
Yeah,
because they're injured.
Oh,
Kipping butterfly pull-ups with a band, like learning butterfly pull-ups.
It's wild.
Hate it.
Wild. Yeah.
What's the purpose of that?
So with that in mind, though, like when you're scaling people in a workout, sometimes it's okay to include the band.
Sure.
Not often.
Right.
But sometimes it's like you need to read your clients. You need to make sure that mentally they're in a good place.
Yeah,
and you can be like, hey, we're gonna work on this today. And then some days you just gotta pull the reins off and be like, hey, you can use that band. I don't want you kipping, but you can use that band to get your chin up over the bar, and you can, you know.
Still build strength within that movement.
Yeah, within that middle range of that movement. But it also helps them. You know, the band is another one of those highly metabolic movements because they can constantly just bounce through it, right?
So it's like he looks at the goal of the workout.
Right.
What are we doing?
On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the stimulus, right?
Yep.
Fran is a 10, whereas like, you know, a 5K is like a 3, right? It's a long, slow road.
So if you're doing Fran, you don't want somebody going through very slow, because if you have that, if you're properly programming, you're programming Fran for a very specific reason within that week, and that's to have an all-out sprint. You know, that's the metabolic pathway that you're attempting to achieve. But what you start to see in a lot of affiliates is that they'll use that band constantly and have no progression, but for no reason. Besides the fact that they don't know how to teach it, or they can't get across them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's like a lot of coaches are.
I would say above all else, if you take your L1 and you're going to open an affiliate, like, you best be getting yourself to a CrossFit Gymnastics course, because those tie in really well to see the GPP, the majority of your members, the 99% of your members. That is what's going to help them the most above any other cert that you'll likely take.
If you look at the hierarchy of fitness, gymnastics comes before weightlifting.
Yep.
Right? Gymnastics, because in order to build if you are good at performing strict gymnastics movements, you are automatically going to be good at weightlifting because you are aware, you have better body awareness.
100%. When I started working with him and Tony, my numbers went through the roof.
Yeah.
Like I was very raw coming in
what?
with them. Through the roof.
Rough?
Yeah, they just jump. All of a sudden I was getting better at like,
Hey,
Is that a dog?
we're going to get on the boat and we're going to go down there to the levee.
yes.
You gotta.
But it was-
I gotta
it
bring
was
some
really
guys
true.
from Southie around here.
Yeah.
From like in Boston, and have you guys just like it's like the Sharks and the Jets. You know,
Fight.
yeah, just have a conversation.
It'd be pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Sure, you betcha.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, but it is really true. Like when I started like pulling the reins back on weightlifting, just because I was generally strong to begin with, whether I was doing things correctly or not. When I started doing everything else and really working on the progressions of like strict movements, and then in the efficiency movements, like my midline and even like if you talk core to extremity, like all my lifts jumped fast without weightlifting. They just leaps and bounds, you know. So it was pretty cool to actually see it happen. And so then if you can apply that to like people that you're coaching or training, it's pretty fun. But they got to be able to see that and make the connection. You have to progress them correctly for that to occur, which is why that course is so good.
I think coaches have to care too.
Well, that too.
There's so many coaches that just
cycling.
they're just going through the motions, right?
Certification gypsies.
Yeah,
Heard that
exactly.
in another
We've heard that.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of these are just recurring points, and they're so good.
because they're pertinent. It's pertinent for me.
They really are. Yeah.
It's like Greg Glassman says, don't let your eyes get used to their shitty movement, right? I think so many coaches just like blinders on, and they're just like,
Yeah. Like that's just how
that's Joey, that's what he does.
That's how he's goofy like that.
He's a goofy guy.
Like he's goofy because
He's got his knees are flaccid, his back's rolling over, he's got 135 pounds of back.
That's how he does the thrusters.
Just how it works.
Then he breaks.
Yeah. Right. And then he's gone forever.
Because he's dead.
But in the sense of CrossFit as the affiliate, if you lose a member to an injury,
Right.
very rarely will you get that back.
Or any of his acquaintances.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or I did that once and looking at
Got hurt, man.
just broke over.
We turning the skier going now?
Getting ready.
Lost one iPad, so adjusting to another.
There you go.
Batteries.
The important one too. That you see you guys.
So
What is Eamon? Something that you believe that maybe others may not. I'm looking forward to this. No pressure.
Something that I believe that other coaches.
Anybody, whether it's coaches, whether it's just people in general. It doesn't have to be everybody doesn't believe it.
Yeah, no.
Just maybe that some people would disagree with or something.
Talk about right now.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be related to fitness.
It's kind of what my world is though.
Yeah.
That's a hard one for me.
So much.
You know, I'm gonna only because I'm so deep into this book and I'm like trying to apply a lot of these principles to my life. You know, I can say, do what you love, and you know, you won't work a day in your life, but that's not true. I mean, you're gonna work at some point, right? But I do think work is a choice. I think that Tim Ferriss is onto something with, you know, maybe it's not 4 hours, maybe it's 8 hours. This whole traditional approach to 40 hours a week until you retire, and then all of a sudden you're basically, what are you doing after that, right? You're waiting to die. That's literally what you're doing. You're waiting to die, right? Why do that? Why? I don't ever plan on retiring. I plan on working until the day that I expire, right? I don't ever want to retire. That's what my parents have worked for their whole entire lives. They're retired now. They're miserable. They're absolutely miserable. They hate it. They hate each other because they're miserable. But and they're always around each other. So I think if that would be my one thing is it's like work hard for things that you love, but don't work yourself to death. That's not what you want to do. Or maybe it is, but it should be a long distance away. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I think that's good because so many people, especially speaking as a young person, looking up, going through the ranks of academia and then hopefully into the business world, I guess everyone's kind of told like you got to bust your ass. Like
that's the path, right?
Run everything, grind, and then
always look like you're busy.
Yeah.
Always look like you're doing something. So.
And then you just kind of hear that. It's nice to hear somebody, because I mean that was always kind of so stupid to me. I mean, yeah, you bust your ass for things you want to do. If something needs to be done, you do it. Mm-hmm. But there's no reason you should. Okay, well, I've got all the work that really needs to be done right now done. Mm-hmm. There's no reason I can't go have a couple of drinks with my buddies or play some guitar,
do whatever you want to do. Yeah, do whatever you want to do. It should be, I think life's a little bit more fun than that. Fun than working yourself to the grave. At 40 hours increments. Or more.
Yeah. Sure. What's your most influential purchase under $100?
We were talking about this earlier. We're having a really hard time with this.
We found out that nothing in CrossFit is cheap.
No, but you know what? I have a jump rope, but I've had really? I've had a jump rope for 5 years.
That's number 4.
Four. Yeah.
So Tori and I were talking about this earlier, which is why she said it. I actually bought her jump rope as a present to her. Which qualified for regionals. But the other thing I have is a pair of Victory grips, which are the best gymnastics grips that I've ever used.
I think that's also like at least 3 for 4, if not 4 for 4.
Yeah, it's a pretty important piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Obviously, man.
I'm not waiting until next week to order a jump rope anymore.
I'm
just gonna order one.
Way home.
Get an RPM rope.
Yeah, RPM.
Yeah.
Great way to go.
I've had the rope for 5 years. All you have to do is replace the cord, and you can go to Home Depot and pick them up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like any cord. Any cord works.
Any braided metal cord.
Okay. Sweet.
They're fast.
Yep.
They're nice.
That's what I need. It's so quick.
In your area of expertise, how can you make something that is complicated more simple?
Break it down into its component parts. Take it a piece at a time. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
God, I've heard that
That's
so many times.
But it's so true, right?
It is.
Everybody looks at these big hairy objects, these big hairy, like, scary things, and then they get so involved in, like, fitness or not, right? They get so involved. Tim, the corner of my gym, he has hit this goal of the games for the past 5 years, right? So it's like big, audacious goal. That's the pinnacle of our sport. Tim is literally one of the top 40 men in the world in the sport of fitness this year. Pretty cool stuff, right? But he has Tim could have made it 3 years ago. Tim could have made it 4 years ago. 5 years ago he bombed out. But 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year he had one bad event, but he was going for it. So even last year, he could have made it at any one of those years. The reason why he didn't is because he saw it as a big goal instead of seeing, I need to perform, I need to give this one workout my everything. He started working with a coach, Dave Charbonneau, who was an awesome dude. Dave's actually here on a team. He's been on a team 5 or 6 times now. He's on CrossFit Dynamics.
Yeah, quite a while.
This year he's on CrossFit Queens. But Dave's been writing programming for him for 3 years now and really honing in on his mental game. And Tim takes it one bite at a time. And that's why, he's having fun right now. He's going to crush it this weekend. It's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah, that's really true. Like, I don't know Tim well, but through, like, Eamon and just, whatever,
media.
like...
Tim's very active social media.
You see him, you see the shift, and then, like, seeing him out on the course today and like in the athlete warm up and stuff, like you can get a vibe from a lot of the athletes. You know, no matter what your sport is, you know, CrossFit, football, soccer, whatever, you can get a vibe, like a feel for them, like where they're at, and you can kind of tell like, you know, they're gonna have a really good week, you know, or they're like stressing way too much, you know, and that's gonna crumble them.
Sure.
Like, you know, Tim, like, I mean, I've seen his workouts, they're nuts. It's like, it's a lot, it's a huge commitment, but
It is a huge commitment.
it's
He
crazy.
he busted that.
Yeah, but for all that work, you know, for him to be here now, and for the first time, for how many years, you
This
think
isn't
that
gonna
he'd
be
be
his
like
last time.
super stressed out, but you just kind of get a better vibe, like he's in a pretty good place, so it's cool.
He's gonna have fun. He's gonna give it everything he's got.
Yeah.
He's already put himself in the echelons of the most fit people in the world
Yeah.
this year. Right. He's been there years past. I mean, that's the thing is these guys are end up going to all these guys that go to regionals. All these guys and girls that go to regionals. They're literally in the top, like 0.5% of the world.
fractions. Yep.
Tori, who you guys just interviewed, she finished 6th in the Northeast. The Northeast
Wild.
It's considered one of, if not the most competitive, one of 2 of the most competitive regions in the world. She's fit. She's like, we call her muscle hamster, and there's a reason. She is fit. So.
I couldn't tell why.
Yeah. Well, I gave her the nickname D-Ball on but people, she didn't take well to that one, so I changed it. Yeah. Made her sound like she was more rotund. She's not very rotund.
Yeah.
So we decided muscle hamster. So.
What information would you tell yourself if you could go back 10 years?
Oh man, don't have that second beer or fifth beer. 10 years ago, I was 26, so I was in the Navy. Probably would have to do with like, you know what, I would have told myself, I was training pretty hard. I would have told myself to start educating myself a little bit better on methodologies, or, you know, I was doing CrossFit, right? But I would have delved into it a little bit further, so that when I separated from the Navy in 2008, instead of kind of bouncing around a little bit, which I met my wife, you know.
Yeah, good life experience.
Yeah, it's been great. But I could have maybe approached this business from a slightly different perspective, in that maybe I would have opened affiliate sooner, so then, you know, would have had a chance to grow in the early stages of CrossFit. But, you know, 2020 hindsight at this point.
Right.
But I would have told myself to focus more on the process instead of the result, as far as like, this is concerned. Yeah.
Cool.
I had to drink less.
Like you said, hindsight's 2020.
I was going off the war, man. I just wanted to be
There is mental health.
accurate.
So where can people find you?
Like social media wise?
Yeah, don't give your home address.
No.
No.
Gets weird.
Phone numbers.
Or Paul's, you probably.
Right here. People not gonna
For the next 4 days.
My Instagram is Eamon.Coyne. It's EAMON.COYNE. I'm not really on like pretty much anything else. I'm on Facebook, but not. Yeah, I guess I'm. It's like,
Well,
if you go to my Facebook, you're just gonna get pictures of my kid.
yeah,
That's about it. So
that's like the personal.
yeah.
Sure.
Personal.
My email is Eamon at CrossFit Pallas. That's PALLAS.com. So
Cool.
send me your gymnastics questions, your programming questions, questions about the World Series of Fitness. Paul's favorite soap.
Yep.
I'll give you that.
Any sponsors?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got a couple. Sponsors.
Not just us. Not just us.
Hey!
We have
Actually,
some delicious food in the fridge.
Yeah, so Rosie Joe Meals, who's actually here at the CrossFit Games, they've been incredibly good to me, providing me with a ton of food. They
Really good food.
closed down their nationwide shipping a few months ago, but right after the games they were reopening that, which is a huge deal for them. She is a classically trained chef from the Culinary Institute.
Wow.
Also is the premier chef school in the country. She's awesome. She's also one of the people that's involved with the World Series Fitness.
Okay.
She's kind of backing the whole thing, which is great. No cash outlay for me. A lot of sweat equity. No cash.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, these guys, Paragon. Like Paul was saying, I did some beta testing for them early on. Zero expectations. I just wanted to help these guys out, and then they brought me on as an athlete this year when they first opened, and we kind of used connections to help them kind of build their team. And I think you guys got a pretty solid group of individuals.
I think so.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yeah. But it's more than just protein. It's like as a combat veteran, I have a really hard time sleeping, and the night gains has changed the game for me, pulling me off of all kinds of like medications, actual narcotics. I'm not taking anything anymore, and this is what I use for sleep.
Seems to be a theme.
Puts me under very well. So my wife's trying to be like, "Hey, the baby's crying," and I'm like, "I can't understand anything."
Or at least that's what you tell her, right?
Yeah. Just roll over.
Don't watch the episode.
I don't have boobs. I don't have what you need. And then Redline Gear, clothing sponsor. Matt O'Keefe, who's actually he's an agent for a lot of the big name athletes. Took me on when I met him at CrossFit New England. Conversation went something like this. Hey Matt, how often do you sponsor mediocre athletes? And he said, you looking for a sponsorship? I said, yeah, if you're given one. So that's how that conversation started.
It's not very mediocre, but
I'm fair.
above fair.
Bum shoulder right now. So Redline Gear, great clothes, great shorts.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
Sweet.
yeah.
Well, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
absolutely.
it. It was fun.
It's a good
You know,
conversation.
we tangented off. It was good.
Yeah, funny goals.
Always the way to go.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Thank you for checking out this episode of Clinically Pressed. Go to clinicallypressed.com for full show notes and links to everything that was covered in this episode. While you're there, you have access to all of our episodes, insights, and shorts. You can find Clinically Pressed on YouTube and any podcast outlet. If you could give us a rating, thumbs up, or review on how we are doing, we would greatly appreciate it. To get more free content delivered to your inbox, sign up for the Total Athletic Therapy newsletter. You'll get direct links to all new Clinically Pressed episodes, reviews on some of the latest research in health and performance, and links to related podcasts and other items meant to help you make the complicated simple and optimize performance. Thank you for listening, and see you next episode.